Next, I'd like to introduce Deborah Del Mastro. She's a Bay Area mother from Martinez, California, who became a public face of the growing AI voice cloning scam after criminals used artificial intelligence to mimic her daughter's voice. She is also a San Francisco Bay Area singer, voice coach, actress, and musician who has taught voice, drama, and trumpet for over 3 decades, sharing her voice and her love of music with her community. Thank you for being here, and please begin your testimony.
Thank you. I am very honored to be able to come and share my story with you also. I think my main goal is to let people know that these criminals have technology that we don't know about. I call this the worst day of my life. It was May 14th, Thursday, May 14th. The day started with a phone call in the morning. My husband and I were at the breakfast table, and I answered a phone call from a local number. I get a lot of my work that way. I didn't think anything of it. I answered and said hello, and a male voice said, "Hello, who is this?" And I said, "Who is this?" And he said, "Someone you need to talk to. I have your daughter. Is your daughter prone to panic attacks?" Again, I'm sitting in my pajamas at the breakfast table, and I said, "My daughter, yes." And then he put on, I could hear commotion in the background, he put on her voice. Now I know her voice, and not her, saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, Mom, I'm so scared, I'm so sorry," and crying, sobbing. It was her voice. It was absolutely her voice. And then he got back on and said that he had 10 pounds of cocaine in his trunk, and my daughter saw a deal go down that she shouldn't have seen, and that his boss was Mexican drug cartel, and his boss told him to take her. And he says his boss doesn't care who he kills, and that he wants $20,000 for the return of my daughter, or he will sell her for what's between her legs. And he will kill me, my family, and my daughter if I don't do this, if I don't come up with the money. Now, we don't have that money. We just don't. So I'm incredulous with my jaw dropped. I couldn't speak to my husband. I quickly got dressed. I have him on the phone the entire time. And as I left the house, I mouthed to my husband that she'd been kidnapped. He didn't know where I was going or what was going on at all, but he could just tell it was serious. This man was barking orders to me about having to have the money right away, or the boss will do something with her. He told me to bring a phone charger and not to let my phone die, or else I would never see my daughter again. He made demands for the next 5.5 hours. First, to send $2,000 by Western Union to Mexico. He wanted $2,500. I told him I didn't have it, which was really true. Just $2,000. He had me go to a local Walmart, and that's where I used MoneyGram to send $2,000 to Mexico. I took a picture of it and texted him the receipt as he asked. And then he told me there was a problem with it and that there was an error and I needed to send the money again. I told him I did not have the money. And he said that I would be reimbursed. It would be fine. Just send it again. And I said I did not have it. He wanted another $500. I had it out. So I said, all right. And I went to my car and found that in my panic, I had locked my keys in the car. Then I had to call my husband to come pick me up, which also brought his bank accounts into play. And my husband drove us around with his phone on GPS and my phone on with this person listening to every moment of it. He ran us around to a bunch of different places, 20 miles away to another Walmart, and to Martinez. Twice we were on the phone with this awful man the entire time, listening for every sound, asking where I was, what was going on, if I was silent, threatening my family's lives, and telling me that he could sell my daughter right now. I tried our local Safeway to send it, it wouldn't work. Went to Walgreens. He told me not to speak during the entire time I was in any store doing these payments, and to leave the phone on so he could hear everything that happened. Again, I took pictures of the receipts and texted him now a different number. All the time he was threatening if I didn't hurry, there was going to be problems. Now he said he was going to drop my daughter off at the first place, then he was going to drop her in another place, then he was going to drop her off in another place. As we were driving to different places and sending money, we sent $5,400 altogether in four different transactions. When it was over, it was about 5.5 hours. By the time they probably figured that we didn't have any more money to give them, he ended it. He said, it's over. We were now back 20 miles away at another Walmart. And he said that he had released my daughter at the front of the Walmart, and we were there. And he said, go get her, go pick her up or call her. And hung up. I jumped out of the car. She was not there. I was in a total panic. And then I called her, and she answered the phone and said, hi, Mom, what's going on? And I was never so happy in my life to be scammed, so relieved, and furious that we'd fallen for this. I heard her twice. I had to be silent with, even in the car driving. There was one time I actually muted the phone so I could speak to my husband, and he started screaming not to do any no funny business or I'd never see her again. You know, he threatened to harm us and my daughter, saying that he had kids and he would kill anyone that got in the way if his kids were at risk, and his boss didn't care about anyone. He talked many times how he would sell Sarah for $20,000, or she could pay her way in other ways, hinting that she would be sex trafficked. But he was doing us a favor because we were respectful of him. He had me talk with Sarah again. I asked many times if I could speak to my daughter to make sure she was okay. He had me speak to her again after we had sent, I think, the third amount. And he told me exactly what I was to say to her. He said, tell her that this nightmare's almost over. You're going to pick her up as soon as possible. I did that. I said exactly that. And my daughter's voice said, I'm so sorry, Mom. I love you. After that, another man's voice came on who was much more harsh, the enforcer, who threatened harm to us and Sarah if we didn't come up with more money. And that's when we sent another $1,200. It was the last of our available accessible money. It was the worst day of my life, and my husband, too. Yeah, some people are just so broken. I'm a Navy veteran. I am usually very, very calm and collected in the face of crisis. I always say I'm the person that runs to the fire, not away from it. And I was totally convinced that this was my daughter's voice. Yeah, you know, it's the perfect scam. It's the perfect scam to talk to family and tell them that you're going to kill them, sell them. You know, it's the perfect scam because you're willing to do anything to get your kids, get your daughter back. I spent most of that time in silence with my husband driving back and forth, just trying to figure out how he's going to help her get through her life after an event like this. And thank God it was a scam. Thank God it was a scam. But I had no idea that this was a possibility, that AI could clone the voice. Now, when I called my daughter, both my kids work in IT, my daughter said, Mom, that was an AI clone of my voice. She knew it immediately. Say, I didn't know. So there needs to be awareness about this, and there needs to be guardrails. We need to find out how to protect those of us who don't know about this. Thank you. Thank you for letting me testify. I appreciate it.
Sorry. First off, your daughter's safe.
Yes. Yes.
And we're sorry this ever happened to you. So.
Thank you.